if you saw Atlas, you is smart, you is important, you are strong. When I was younger, I wanted to be a strong Black woman in the way that my grandmother was strong. But then I learned we are the front cover, the front line, our children the cover story when dead. We are the living, the magic. So often as women, especially Black women, so many things land on us, but there's nothing magical about being the one that carries all that weight. There's nothing magical about if you saw Atlas, the giant who holds the world on his shoulders. Stacey Abrams did it. The former lawmaker and gubernatorial candidate has turned Georgia, once reliably red, to blue. I just wanted to say thank you. Oh, for what? For Black women saving America. Okay, no problem. Black women saved our republic. Stacey Abrams is a hero. Another election down, and you guys showed up yet again. Wakanda forever. What would happen if Black women shrugged, took their hearts, their spirits, and just moved on? Simulate Ayn Rand's book predictions and hit away with their gifts, superpower, and position. Would it stop and stand still on its axis? Would we even exist? Georgia Governor Brian Kemp defeats Stacey Abrams in rematch. My first question is just, how are you? I still feel pain. The pain is real and I hold it close. But my parents raised me to, continue the fight if you saw Atlas, the giant who holds the world on his shoulders. What would you tell him? Life for me ain't been no crystal stair, but our strength is our greatest weapon. Our elders were not wrong to teach us that. They were wise. They prepared us. But as my grandmother lay at home during her final days, I couldn't help thinking, if I could travel backwards through time, I'd search to rescue all my heroes. But even magic couldn't save her. In 1957, Russian writer Ayn Rand published her fourth and final novel titled Atlas Shrugged. Within it, she raised the question of what would happen if the nation's titans, such as Atlas, no longer held the weight of the world on their shoulders and shrugged. And now, 65 years later, I too ask the same question, but this time about Black women. For far too long, we have been equated to magic, causing us to compromise ourselves for seemingly greater causes. From being non-consenting reproductive subjects, to being forced to breastfeed babies who weren't their own, to receiving little to no gratitude for their role in the 2020 election, it is clear. Black women aid everyone but ourselves. So again, I ask, what would happen if we shrugged? And what would happen if just one of us traveled back in time to save most of us who never got the chance to? Because the first time that we rest shouldn't be when we die. And to my mom, because I know you're watching, all season you've asked me, when am I going to get to see the piece? Why don't I get to see it? And I finally have the answer. I wanted you to see it for the first time on this stage. While simultaneously dedicating this final performance to you and to every Black woman who has impacted me in my life, because you are the epitome of women who do not rest, but who deserve to. So, to the poetry, mother to son, strong no more, to black women, so I run. What would happen if black women shrugged? The prose, Atlas shrugged, with articles from InStyle, AP News, 11 Alive, Elle Magazine, NPR, and the Washington Post. And the dramas, thank you for doing all the work, The Help, and Avengers Endgame. Yeah. When black women shrug, a program, because if there is one thing I wish I was told growing up, it is that magic isn't real. As a mother, I don't know who told God I was one of his strongest soldiers, but I'm not, bro. I'm getting my ass beat. These weapons formed against me are prospering just a little. Yeah, I didn't put it in an email. I never said it in a prayer. So who told bro I was strong? Because a great lie about being black and strong women is that we're black and strong women. Black women, a faceless mass, are painted as devoted servants with near mystical powers of organization and determination. They can be directed toward any impossible task the public desires. They're carrying America on their broad, untiring backs. Their sacrifice is for you. If you saw Atlas, the giant who holds the world on his shoulders, if you saw that he stood, blood running down his chest. As a mama too, I look forward to the second Sunday in May all year as a chance to get a little break from the daily grind. This year, however, something struck me. Most of the black moms I knew, myself included, were asking for rest instead of roses. But before the sun went down on Mother's Day 2023, those same moms had already been forced to come down from the high of all the flowers and pampering to return to the reality of black girl magic. But there's something that rubs me the wrong way about the phrase. When I see black girl magic, I think, was Sandra Bland not magical enough? Renisha McBride, Miriam Carey. If I could tell them it's okay, I would. But instead, I travel backwards through time, and I find myself in the Underground Railroad, standing side by side with Harriet Tubman as she decides whether to go left or right. As the barking dogs approach from the south, I rub the clothes from 1,000 slaves in my body, and I hand her a flashlight, and I hear my grandmother say, run. If you saw Atlas, blood running down his chest, his knees buckling, so I run. I run till I get to the spring of 1963, and I'm in Birmingham, Alabama, and I'm peeking through a church basement window. 4 little girls, 4 little worlds. And I notice I'm standing next to a box, and I can hear the sudden sounds of a tick, talk, and I hear my grandmother say, don't you turn back. Don't you sit down on them steps. So I open it up and cut the red wire to the bomb to make it stop, tick, tock. And I can hear them coming, knock, knock. If you saw Atlas, blood running down his chest, his knees buckling, his arms trembling. I run till I get to April 4th, 1968, in Memphis, Tennessee, tick, tock. And I'm standing in front of Lorraine Motel with Dr. Martin Luther King. Knock, knock, and shots begin to ring. So I scoot back and I cover Dr. King with my own body. And I don't want to just lift every voice and sing, because after MLK's death, Coretta Scott King went to Memphis to finish his work 4 days after her husband was killed. 4 days after her husband was killed. And I hear the scream again. Don't you sit down on them steps. Don't you fall now. You better run. But if you saw Atlas, his arms trembling, but still trying to hold the world aloft with the last of his strength, what would you tell him? Run. I run till I find myself in the puddle on the floor that would reveal my grandmother's cries and yells if you saw Atlas, the giant who holds the world on his shoulders. If you saw that he stood, blood running down his chest, his knees buckling, his arms trembling, but still trying to hold the world aloft with the last of his strength. And the greater his effort, the heavier the world bore down upon his shoulders. What would you tell him? Run. No, Grandma. Run. So instead, I run to Marsha P. Johnson, Daisy Bates, Ella Baker, Betty Shabazz, Angela Asada Shakur. Thank you for your life. But what a Black woman shrugged. Took their talent, their style, their spirit, their laugh, their creativity, their knowledge, their strength, their love, took the whisper, their kisses, their lullabies, and just gave up. Because you see, Black women may have saved America, but who is saving us? Who is saving us? Shh. I run so fast that a second has passed, only for me to arrive back at my grandmother laying at home during her final days.
Stacey Abrams says she'll likely run again.
I wish for the day when I can say, Grandma, we won. We're going to be okay. You can rest now. You can rest now. And we ain't got to run no more.